And welcome back to the latest episode of Game Rivals. I am your one of your hosts, Maximilian X, and as always, I am joined by my fellow co-host, who is also sitting out this quarantine. It's Sean Templar. How you doing, Sean?
Yo, yo, yo. Yeah, I'm okay, dealing with this quarantine, but I'm okay. Healthy for now.
Good. Healthy is important
Yeah,
because
just trying to stay safe.
that's all we have right now.
Yeah, being constantly bombarded with stay inside, stay safe, wash your hands, do this. I'm like, yeah, man, I get it. I mean, my life is worth something. I want to sit this one out healthy.
Yeah, exactly. But even though, you know, the world is kind of in this weird semi, depending on where you live, lockdown or not, um, well, lockdown, quarantine, whatever you want to call it, um, the world keeps going on somewhat, some way, at least in the world of gaming. So let's get right into the news. And I think we just need to rip the band aid off of this one because otherwise it's just going to build up, and I'd rather not that happen. So let's talk about one of our old buddies, one of our old topics that has come back in the news, kind of, sort of, which is Google Stadia.
Oh God, you want to lead with that?
Yeah, I want to lead with that because that is a band-aid that's going to be very painful to rip off. So let's just get it over
Okay.
with so that people
Let's
can actually.
try not to kind of like kick a dead horse again, because I think we've literally butchered that horse already. So let's try not to
We
do
have
that.
sent that horse to the glue factory.
Oh my god. Poor horsey. Poor
Oh
glue.
man.
Okay, so
So
Google Stadia is now available for free in the countries that it was available.
mhm.
And you get 2 months of free Stadia Pro with that, meaning you can try games such as Grid, Destiny 2, and some other indie games I really don't know because I focus like, okay, bam, Destiny. Um,
Yeah.
you can try it out on a PC with a Chrome browser, or if you
hmm
have the controller, you can use some controllers. I haven't tried my PlayStation
Well,
or
you
Xbox
can.
controller.
Well, I tried it with my Xbox 360 controller on my MacBook, and that worked fine.
Okay,
Um, but I'll get into what I mean with fine in quotes.
okay,
Um, but yeah, you can use a controller, but if you want to use it on your TV, you still need the Google Stadia
Premier Edition.
um, Premier Edition for that because that's the only way apparently you can still buy that, which is ridiculous.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna be
you can
honest.
play it. You can play it on your mobile, but again, you
Only on
still need the
Android
controller
and specific
um,
devices.
and specific Android devices. It's not on iOS yet,
Yep,
and the pool of Android devices is pretty small.
like a handful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. It's funny that like a couple of weeks ago we were talking about this. Or I don't know, even since a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of days ago, and I constantly kept saying, "This is maybe the perfect moment for Google to bring out the free version of Stadia because people can try it out. People are at home, so they'll kind of get the max audience." I don't know if that was the right thing to say because internet speed is, of course, being capped to preserve the networks and to make sure that everybody has a good experience. Um,
Well, they are taking that into account. When you sign up, it actually gives you a notice about that.
yeah,
That everything is capped. So now instead of streaming in 4K, it's streaming in 1080p,
yeah,
but it's still 60 frames per second,
yeah,
and the sound is only stereo.
yeah.
So
Um, I'm gonna be honest. I tried it for 10 minutes, maybe. I think so. 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Let me put it this way. I started up Destiny 2, and I think
mhm.
I got to play Destiny. As far as I remember, I got to play Destiny 1 because it's the Destiny complete edition something. So there's Destiny 1 was in there, I think. I don't know, but I literally played the first mission of Destiny 1. And I played till the part that you get your first ship and you fly to the first, I don't know, the city, the last city of man, blah, blah, blah. It's been a while since I've played in Destiny. Um, and after that, I stopped.
Mm.
And not because I don't like Destiny, because I've put some time in Destiny, but simply because, and this is really difficult because I don't want to bash it, but like I don't know if it is the current situation that we're in from an internet connection point of view, But
It's not.
what it how well the issue was is because I have played Destiny on my PlayStation 4 at the time. I could notice like a pretty big difference in quality, in visual quality. So it looked less pretty, less sharp. Some things even looked blurry. I played with a mouse and a keyboard, and I could notice like I wouldn't say it's an input lag, but it's not as smooth as if I were to turn around, for example, on the PlayStation. That felt a lot smoother than on the mouse and the keyboard. Um, so that was kind of like a bummer because that kind of, yeah, I didn't want to try it after that because of that initial experience. And maybe if I hadn't played Destiny before, I wouldn't have that. But to like not constantly go on about the negative, I was impressed about how smooth it works. So like you just you log into stadia.com and you pick a game from the list that is available for free games, and you say start, and it immediately starts up. It's what
Yeah.
they said. There's no patching, there's no install. It's just like one smooth experience. Jumping into a game was like maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds, because it's the first time I'm playing a game, so you have to do some settings like subtitles and colors and that. So that's all normal stuff. You have to do that on console as well. So like the startup experience was really smooth. There's a there's a combination on the keyboard you can do. I don't remember which it was, and you can bring up like the overlay for Stadia, so you can, for example, see if your friends are playing online, or if you want to connect the controller, and it gives you some information about that. So like the system around it is also really nice, really smooth. Um, I think from a technology, and maybe you can elaborate more on it because you tried GeForce Now as well. I haven't. So like from a technology standpoint, I think it's okay. It's just that that input lag is that slowdown, or that like that difference in turning, for example, and in combat was noticeable for me. I have a 200 megabit connection, so and I tried it wired, so I don't think it's my internet connection like not being able to handle it. So it's either like that it's the situation that we're in that's causing this. Maybe it was a lot of people trying it out. Could also be. I don't know. But like, I kind of do hope they improve on it, or I hope that, for example, the 4K version on Stadia is prettier than what I got to see. Um, because the idea is it's the ultimate. They're selling it as the ultimate way of gaming wherever you want on the go. It's supposed to be the most prettiest experience. I mean, initially I was thinking about, okay, maybe I should buy a Cyberpunk 2077 on Stadia so I can enjoy it in its highest fidelity. But like after trying this, I'm like, I'll either buy it on my PS4, or I think I'll buy it on my PC, because then I'll get like the maximum fidelity, because that game does look amazing. Um, but yeah, that's kind of, yeah. So like, I'm happy with a couple of things. I'm bummed out about other things, but maybe hopefully if the world kind of starts going back to a little bit of normal, the Stadia situation will improve as well. So I definitely want to go back and try it again at some point. Um, but like from what they've pulled off from a technology standpoint, that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, um, since I have played with, I still do with GeForce now. I'm even gonna talk about it a bit more in what we've been playing. But comparing it, yes, it is impressive how Stadia works, because with GeForce Now, whenever you start up a game, it boots it first, checks the connection speed, make sure that's okay, and then it goes into this virtual machine. It boots up Steam. Sometimes if there's like a patch, it will like do like an install thing where it does the patch, and then it's when you get the that's when you get the game booting up.
Okay.
So that can take, depending on the game, um, about a minute, maybe a minute and a half.
How is it for Kerbal? Because that's the game you played the most.
For Kerbal, it's, yeah, about a minute, minute and a half.
Okay.
Um, so that's about the average. If you're playing it for the first time, it'll have to do the install on the virtual machine, which can take longer. If it's a game that you're playing more often, the boot time is a bit faster.
Okay.
Um, However, once that's done, that's it. It's like super smooth, works like a charm. I do play on a MacBook Pro 15-inch from 2011. and I only play on Wi-Fi. I haven't tried wired connection yet because I haven't done it yet. I could try that at a certain point. But basically, what happens sometimes is I might get a spotty connection for about 5 seconds or 2 seconds, and then I can continue playing the game, even when I'm a bit further away from my access point. With Stadia, it works like a charm, like you said. Boots up, you're in the game is starting up. It's ridiculously amazing because I was expecting a similar experience, but it just opens in the browser like, oh wait, this is the game. Oh, okay, it's already booting. Oh, okay, cool, we can go. Menus run normally. So I tried this with two games on Stadia. I tried it with Grid, and I tried it with um, SteamWorld Dig 2. And SteamWorld Dig 2 is a game that I own on Switch that I've already played, so I know how that works, how that's supposed to feel like, how that's supposed to respond. That's a 2D. Ugh, I hate this term so much. Metroidvania game. Um, so that ran for the most part smooth. I had some hiccups in the connection that lasted about a second, maybe two. But with Grid, oh my goodness grief, I Grid was unplayable.
I know. I
Like
heard you.
it was like you were there when I was testing it out because it was the day when it went live. I haven't tried it since. I may try it again um when I have time because I've been spending it on other stuff. And if I feel like trying it again, I have 2 months or whatever. And it was unresponsive. Like, as in, you start the game, you start the initial race um, to get a feel of how the game's supposed to play, and I couldn't steer. Like, I can go forward, but when I tried to reverse, it took 3, 4, sometimes even 5 seconds for it to register that I wanted to go in reverse. Steering does not work because it registered your steering way too late. Like, as in 5 seconds have gone, and you're still like driving into a wall. I just it maybe it was because I was playing it when everybody was finally getting on it. Maybe if I try it again sometime in the future, it'll be a bit more stable. I don't know. But that was not the experience that I was expecting. I was expecting to maybe have some lag, but this was bad. I mean, I've played Mad Max on GeForce Now, and that works like a charm. It looks good too. As long as there's no spotty connection, then it looks fantastic. But it's so weird. I mean, it looked fine. Um, Again, it's in 1080p, so that's the image quality that you're getting. So it's not like blowing minds or anything. But oh man, that lag was just. I'm sorry, but I have to lay it out as it is. It was not what I was expecting. It was worse than I was expecting because I was already expecting the lag to be there from what I saw from earlier before late last year, but this was like way worse.
The like the it kind of feels like they went all in on Stadia until the launch, and it came out, and then it didn't have the impact that they kind of expected it would have, and then they were like, huh, okay, maybe we misjudged this. Yeah, okay, we're not going to pour millions into it because we already did, so maybe we should just leave it for now as it is and kind of just see what happens. Because what I would expect from a service like this is like, it comes out and you focus more on it actually than before it comes out, because you're kind of in a process that, okay, it needs to shine, it needs to stand out, and it's not standing out right now. I mean, it doesn't feel like a lot of features have been added. It doesn't feel
Oh, it's
like,
still missing a lot of features.
yeah, so but like all those features that were promised before it came out, it's not there, or it's being gradually added, but it's not like, it doesn't feel like they're constantly working on it to improve it and to make it better, to be the best place to play. It really
Well,
feels like, because it's also getting like a lot of negative buzz around from independent developers, and I mean like there aren't a lot of games on it. I read an article the other day that literally says that like Stadia is kind of like is perfect for Ubisoft because they have their whole catalog on it. But there's no other publisher that kind of does things on it. I mean, Red Dead Redemption is on there, but it's not running at 4K, and it can look beautiful. I've seen videos on it running in 4K Ultra on a PC, and it like looks amazing. So like, Red Dead Redemption is one of those showcase titles that will show people like, hey, I need to get this because this is affordable and this is amazing, and I can play Red Dead on the go and take it with me wherever I go. But it's not feeling like that. I'm like, the way it feels now is like, okay, if it might not see the end of the year and they'll pull the plug at the end of the year, and that's why the business model also sucks, that you might lose all those games you bought for it
if you bought games for it, I
if
mean,
you bought games for
if
it,
I mean, if
which
you
is also a
got the
thing. The games are
foundership
more
opinion,
expensive.
yep.
That was something like completely threw me off. I was like, okay, maybe I should buy a game. And then I looked at the prices of the game, like, I'm not paying this amount for a PC game, man. I'd rather play GeForce Now and then use my Steam library and I can get a cheap Steam game, you know? So I'm like,
Yeah,
that,
I
but
think that's also the reason why you see developers pulling their games,
yeah, I mean,
which
that's
sucks.
such I mean, it's such a wasted chance. It's such a shame. I mean, we need things like this to push the industry forward. And then it's like a huge company like Google steps in, and then you're like, oh, okay, you know, I
Here's the
mean,
thing. Here's the thing that I feel that happened with Google Stadia, because clearly we're in a period of Google Stadia's life that should have been in beta, like as
yeah.
in closed beta. Basically, what XCloud is doing, and basically what GeForce Now did up until this point. You know, so you're not muted, dude.
Oh shit.
um, so I don't know I don't know where to begin with this because basically it looked like they looked at GeForce Now, they looked at the progression of XCloud, and they thought, "Oh snap, we're we're falling behind. We're only now getting this stuff ready. We need to beat them to the punch so that we can say, look at these people that want our service come to our platform because those services are still way out. They're still doing closed betas, but we are ready to rock and roll with this stuff." And then they made lofty promises, which they obviously couldn't keep. And now they're in this position where they're essentially paying people to do the beta of it, or they ask people to pay for the privilege to do a beta on it, and now they're only rolling out the free thing with 2 months. Luckily for those that already got it, that already got the founder edition or the premium edition, are also getting 2 free months. Because I can tell you right now, I'm pretty sure that those people, once the 3 months were up, they stopped using it right away, or they were already not using it at all.
Yeah.
And maybe this will entice them to come back and try it anyways. But from I'll try it again, but oof,
Yeah, it's
phew,
such a shame. I mean, like,
oh, so
there's
rough.
so much potential for this, and I feel like they're not using it, or they're not like squeezing every drop out of it. And like maybe they should. I mean, yeah, I was expecting Origin to be available on this because it screams Origin. I mean,
Yeah,
it's another avenue for EA to get their stuff all out. Um, I don't know. It's maybe too far fetched, but make a deal with Steam, with Valve. Get the whole Steam stuff on there. I mean, you're basically offering people a game server to rent. And if people, I mean, that's why I love the idea via GeForce Now. You can just plug in your Steam library or your Epic Game Store library, or hopefully other things in the future, and then you can just play. I mean, you don't have, and you're playing it on a MacBook, for crying out loud. I mean, you can play Kerbal Space Program on a MacBook.
well, I could, but not in the fidelity that I was
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
it
Yeah,
at.
but like I mean, that
No
is
more
so
slowdown. That was the
yeah,
first time I experienced no slowdown in Kerbal on my MacBook. Was so that sold me. Like that point sold me on GeForce Now. It's like,
yeah,
oh my goodness, it's running so smooth. On occasionally the hiccup, but I, that's fine for Kerbal. But
And it's a 1080 experience, because
it is a
GeForce
1080
doesn't do
experience,
4K yet.
but I don't care.
No,
Like I
I
don't.
mean, like, it's so good at
It
1080p. Imagine how
it
great it will be
works.
at 4K.
It works. The point is it works. That's the important thing for me at this
Yeah,
point is that it works.
yeah.
I don't have to worry about anything. I just boot it up, even though the boot up process is a bit longer. Even though I have to install a separate app on my MacBook,
But they'll
I don't
fix
care.
that.
It
Those are like minor
works.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I honestly hope
So
that Stadia kind of gets a second chance because
yeah,
I want this to succeed. I mean, if people remember the first episode that we talked about Stadia, the first keynote they did, and I was super excited, and I'm
yeah.
really sad that it's not what I hoped it to be, but it can still be that. I mean, now is the perfect moment to show people like, hey, we're working on it because people are sitting at home, and now is the moment that you can get the most out of it. If the industry and the world starts to go back to a form of normal again, yeah, nobody's going to talk about this. Which is a shame. I mean, again,
Yeah, it is a shame. I mean, I don't know. People are already writing it off, but I think Google has way too much invested in Stadia that they're just gonna write it off in a year. I think right now, especially with how the way the world is, they're pulling some priorities elsewhere. So development on Stadia might slow down, like
but
on the
tell us
Stadia
that,
service.
say that. I mean,
But
be honest about it.
I don't know. I don't know. I guess we just have to wait and see.
It feels
With
like
Google Stadia, we have to wait and see.
it feels like it's maybe a really bad example, but it feels like there's one person working on Stadia. I mean, like, so like what's happening right now is like the Second World War has ended, but there's still this guy in the bunker behind the radio relaying messages. But he's not been told like, "Yo, dude, the war's over. We lost or we won. You don't have to relay the messages anymore." But the guy's still like behind his switchboard, plugging all those cables, relaying all those messages, and like somebody walks in and has to tell this guy, "Dude, the war's over, man."
Oh my god, Shadow
Yeah.
Templar bringing the darkness, man. Dang.
It's just like somebody used this example on me once, and I laughed my ass off because it was really amazing. And it simply started by me asking this dude, "Hey man, how are you doing?" And he said, "I feel like that dude in the bunker that hasn't been told that the war's over, so I'm still just patching in all the cables." And it literally cracked me up. I'm like, "Wow, this is really good."
Oh
So yeah,
man.
Stadia guy, we're thinking about you. The war's not over. Stadia needs to become large. Go for it. Keep on patching.
Yeah, man. Oh man.
Oh,
I hope they are able to turn it around because from a conceptual standpoint, it's really interesting and it could truly become a game changer. But man, this thing really needs way more time to be in the oven.
The the plus side of it is, which kind of segues into our next segment, is that people still want traditional consoles because of this, because it hasn't really sold us yet on, oh, we want to go online, so we
Mm.
still want traditional consoles. Which brings up the next topic, which is something we've kind of been predicting, and there's a rumor floating around that Sony will. Sony has committed to bringing out the PlayStation 5 this year. They've said it again and again, and recently they've said it still because they unveiled the new controller, which is called the Dual Sense controller.
The DualSense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
What were
Dual
you
Sense.
gonna call it? The Dreamcast controller?
No, the Dream Sense controller. I don't know why, but it's called the
Because
Dual
it's
Sense
in your
controller.
dreams.
Yeah, it's called I was about saying it again. The Dual Sense controller. Um,
Gotcha.
it looks a bit strange. It looks like a crossing between a DualShock 4 and an Xbox
Mm.
controller.
Yeah.
It's in two tone, and I know you love this because there's the internet's going wild on what it could look like. But it's in two tone, so the upper side is white and the middle is black. It kind of gives this futuristic look. It has
And there are lights going around the
the touchpad.
touchpad.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like
Which one dude likened it to looking like a bra?
a bra. Oh my
and then he and then he posted an image on his Twitter feed
god. Oh my
that someone made. Oh my god, that mock-up is freaking
god.
perfect, man.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
looks like a sports bra.
Oh my god. Anyways, while you're
I'm
cracking
sorry.
up there,
I'm sorry.
it
Go
it has
on.
USB-C. It has a built-in microphone.
Mm.
It has the adaptive triggers, which we know. So Sony gave the example around if you rack your bow, hint, hint, Horizon Zero Dawn 2, you will feel tension on the triggers as the bow is being racked. Or, for example, if you're driving in Gran Turismo and you're going through mud, you can feel that in the triggers. Um, there's a grip texture on it. The buttons are translucent. The share button is gone, and they now have the create button, which will offer a lot more options than the share button did.
They
Um,
haven't said exactly what, but
yeah, yeah. It should house a bigger battery, so it should last longer. And the benefit of USB-C is that it will also charge faster because USB-C can handle a lot more power output. Um,
yep. And
people are,
hopefully that light bar will not be draining the battery as much as the one on a
yeah,
friggin' PS4 controller.
yep.
Yeesh, that
Yeah.
battery life is so crap.
Um, they said, and I don't know in what kind of extent it's true, that the controller will be able to detect who's picking it up. So if you have like multiple people that, or who's using the controller. So if you have like multiple people in your household, then it will be able to identify, for example, your wife or your kid. I think it's maybe a combination of voice recognition that will just simply
Oh,
listen to
good
who you
grief.
are if you have that option available, which is a cool
Yeah.
feature. I don't think I'll use it because
Yeah.
I don't want
You're the
my
only one
PlayStation
using
listening
it.
as well, and I don't want my
And
PlayStation
and
listening
that
to
too,
me.
the whole privacy thing.
Yeah, I mean, like the last thing
Yeah.
I want is to get a Connect kind of peripheral for my PlayStation and say PlayStation on.
Yeah.
um, and people have also said that it kind of shows an early glimpse at what the PlayStation design language might be for the PS5, so
Mhm.
that we might get
It's
like
gonna be true tone, two tone,
yeah, so it might be a
definitely.
two-tone color
Audio is gonna have
console.
like a blue light
Yeah,
somewhere.
or maybe like a futuristic look. As long as it doesn't look like that dev kit, I'm all fine by it.
It's
Uh,
gonna look like a flying saucer.
yeah, and the second rumor is a bit around that the PlayStation 5 will come out this year, but it will come out in limited quantities. Uh,
Well, there were some caveats in that rumor. There were some caveats in that. Yeah. So basically, what you were saying,
because we've said this, it's like we said, it's either going to be postponed or it's going to come out in
that
limited
again,
quantities.
exactly. So the caveat there in the rumor is that they're the reason why they wanted to have it out this year is or they're hoping to get it out this year is they're still sourcing the components and the cost,
Yeah,
trying to keep it as low as possible,
yeah,
somewhere between I think it was I think it was 499 and 559 is what the rumor said.
it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I also don't think it's going to be 399, so what are you going to do?
I think
Um
it's going to be 449.
that's what they're aiming for according to the rumor. The other thing that they're also aiming for is that if they can't do that, or if Microsoft decides to postpone the Series X,
Which,
they're also going to postpone the PlayStation 5 launch because
yeah,
they want to compete in that area. And if Series X is going to be delayed, why are you going to force yourself to be first during this weird period
yeah,
because of what's going on and just, shoot yourself in the foot, which makes sense from not only a competitive standpoint, but also from the current world situation standpoint. I don't think you're going to have people that are going to prioritize getting a new console for Christmas. If you're looking at, John Regular, what I'm talking about. I'm not
Joe the
talking about
plumber.
diehard. I'm not talking about the diehard fanboys that would get it,
I'm
because they'll
kidding.
get it
I'm,
because they'll get it exactly. Like they'll get it regardless, but they also want to, get the.
are you going to get it?
I don't know.
Why
I
didn't
mean,
you know?
well, I don't know what I'm gonna get because again, we're in a weird time where you can't even make sense of things. Like even the other thing that we're gonna talk about later, even if something like that were to happen, even I'm not sure if I would get it
Why?
because again, we don't know
Next
what's
gen
gonna happen.
console, prettier graphics, better games. I mean, what's not to buy?
I don't know, man. At this point, I'm
Are
just
you gonna
glad
get
that
a Series X?
GeForce. I'm honestly glad that GeForce now is a thing. That's
I
what
can
I'm glad.
imagine. Maybe you should just buy Three Kingdoms on GeForce Now, and then we can just play co-op.
Yeah, I'm still banking on that one getting a discount.
Yeah, well, probably. There's also
But
said things
yeah,
about form factor that it might get a form factor such as an Xbox Series X because it's hard to build everything into the traditional kind of look, the square boxy look they have. So they might opt for a Xbox Series X kind of design, but I
Mm,
think they're too far along in the design process to kind of pivot to that, because the rumor says that they want to start production in June,
yeah.
which is pretty early because um,
I
generally,
think I think they'd have to if everything is super delayed now,
Mhm.
because I'm assuming that their original roadmap did not take into account that something like this was going to happen.
Yeah,
So they probably were still working on the design of the console itself, which is why it's been taking so long to reveal it.
yep.
And they were probably banking on having the design done at the last hour.
Yeah, because they in the article it said that there was a risk of them not being able to go into production in June because of that the engineers couldn't fly out to China to do final testing and quality control and look at the production samples. So they had to
Mm,
do that kind of remotely, but they've overcome that issue right now. So it's looking like a June production start, which is actually nice because they will give them. I think the console is going to come out in November, so they will kind of give them like 4 or 5 months to produce a lot of units and source the components as well, which would actually be nice.
that would be nice.
Because if you look at what other manufacturers do, from for example, for smartphone manufacturers, what Samsung always brings out like an S20 or an S phone at the beginning of the year and a Note at like the middle end of the year, and that those Note phones, for example, I think like that their production always starts in June and then they release it in August or September, so they're like they have millions of units available in 2 3 months. So
Yeah.
yeah, of course, the consoles may be a bit more complex to make, or maybe even easier because there are bigger parts in it in the phone.
Mm.
But like if you have 4 or 5 months to source your components and to manufacture, that could potentially be like you can have millions of units available for launch.
Yeah. But but considering how much is custom made, that means that the component manufacturers would have to be able to um, output in the amount that Sony requires them to, so that the manufacturing plant can put the systems together.
Yeah, and that's why I think the part around limited release, limited quantities is really viable.
I think that if Microsoft is really committed to 2020, I think we're going to see the same thing for that as well.
Yeah,
Limited
yeah. Because
quantities.
the funny thing is like everybody's talking about Sony, but I think Microsoft has the same issues because
Yeah.
Microsoft has also built a
Everybody has the
complete.
same issues.
Yeah,
I mean, even now, like for example, the Switch was basically sold out for about a couple of weeks now.
yeah,
It's only since the beginning of the week that we're in, the second week of April, is when small amounts of Switches have started to come back into sale in Japan.
yep,
It's been sold out in Japan for at least almost a month now.
yeah, insane.
So it's so as the fact that like current systems are having issues, just assume that you're gonna have similar issues right now with the next gen, which is probably why they might start the production of the PlayStation 4 and maybe even the Xbox Series X in maybe June or stuff like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, it's if like for example when the PS4 came out. Look, when the PS3 came out, I pre-ordered it with one company and they had it. They had like loads in stock, but that's probably because of pricing at the time. When the
mm,
PS4 came out, I pre-ordered it at like three shops because I wanted to be sure of a unit, and then they all had it. And then I I had friends of mine that wanted it, so I had to go with them to all the stores. Like, hey, I'm here to pick up my PS4, and then yo, dude, pay for the PS4, it's yours. And then we had to do that like 3 or 4 times, so everybody would have a PS4. But like now, I'm just thinking about ordering it online through a web shop, and if they have it, they have it. If they don't have it, I don't feel like looking at all these retailers to get it. Even though I'm super excited, I just maybe it's because I'm a bit older now or something. I don't know. I just don't feel like putting in that immense amount of time to get it. I'm like I'll pre-order it. If I get it on day one, I'll be super happy. If I don't get it on day one, I'll cry myself to sleep until I get it. Well, I'm not like gonna
uh,
overpay, or I'm not
yeah.
gonna buy it online that charges 300 more.
Have you by the way seen like how much people are selling Switches for?
And I heard like it's 100 or 200 bucks more than normal.
Yeah, dude,
That's
stuff
insane.
ridiculous. Like, especially if you have the Animal Crossing edition, it's going for like $700.
It's insanity.
$700 for a system. That
Why
is
would you
no.
do that?
Only because of the supply constraints. Because it's not like the Animal Crossing edition is like a limited edition. It's just a different SKU.
It's actually funny because I don't know why this came up, but I'm looking at a Switch Lite, for example. Is if you buy it through ball.com, which is like a big retailer here, online store here, they have it in stock. You can get the blue one, the gray one, the yellow one,
For how much?
215, 219, 218.
Okay, so that's the normal
That's a
price,
normal
right?
price, but I cannot see the normal Switch.
Yeah, that's because it's sold out
Yeah, that
almost.
that one's sold out, but like the Switch Lite is available,
Can you find PlayStation 4? See how much that is?
of course. PS4 is available for 299. It's a 500
Okay,
gig
so
model. Yeah,
they still have that for the normal price.
yeah,
Okay,
and the Pro
but if you
is
but to be specific, this is again you guys for the Netherlands.
yeah,
So
yeah,
um, the fact that we still have them is, but I'm assuming that those will still be in stock because they had probably had like a big stockpile
yeah. Bull.com
before
is
this
like
all hit.
Amazon, so
So
they're like
yeah,
big. Yeah. What about an Xbox?
yeah, that's it. I think you still could buy that for the normal price, right?
You can buy an 1 terabyte all digital edition for
Okay.
229. You can
Wow. Why?
buy uh
Wait, for 239? What the?
229, and then you get Fortnite, Sea of Thieves, and Minecraft, and it's a 1 terabyte Xbox. That's a
So
pretty good
one is a
deal.
free game, and two are games that have already exist. Wow, that's still like I thought those things went for 199.
I got my I when I bought my Xbox One S at the time, I bought it for 185, and I got Forza Horizon with it. I
Yeah,
don't have a One S anymore, by the way, but at the time when I was impulse buying shit.
yeah.
Yep. And then
The
One
good old days.
X, they have the One X for 428, and then you get Gears 5 with it.
Yeah.
I actually saw it for
Okay, that's
299, the
good.
One X at the Intertoys.
All right.
Anyways,
Okay, so again, this is just the
the
Netherlands, so
Netherlands, yeah,
your experiences and your stocks may vary depending on which country in the Europe or in the US or wherever you are experiencing this.
yeah,
But at least for the stuff that is become very rare, they go ridiculous prices on eBay. Don't buy them. Even on Amazon, I've seen the retailers that sell their stuff through Amazon. They'll resell them for ridiculous prices. Don't buy them. Don't
okay.
buy it from that prices. That is ridiculous. Nothing is worth the price hike that they're giving it. So,
Yeah, if I buy it
um,
on Amazon, it's 385 for
four.
PS4, and then I get
Wait, regular PS4, not a Pro.
yeah, it's a slim, and I get a terabyte. I get FIFA 20, and I get two controllers. And a normal slim is not in stock. Do they?
Oh, of course, it's not.
No, they're giving other options, but it's not in stock. And those
That's
other
what makes it
options are
so hard.
399.
Yeah, yeah, no, man, no, man, no, that's
Uh,
too much. The fact that that is out of stock already should tell you like what's up.
okay, the the Fortnite edition is 329, but they only have three in stock. So I think we should order it like right now because they only have three in stock.
Oh
Oh
man.
my god. The funny thing is nobody's talking about Fortnite since Warzone came out. I mean, like
Ooh,
Warzone has
right.
50 million players right
Wow,
now.
Warzone has blown up.
Yeah, man. I mean, I
Like
think people are just like bored with Fortnite and they're looking for something new.
well, obviously.
Yeah,
Plus, the fidelity, the shooting. I do like the shooting fidelity in Warzone. They had this free weekend for the multiplayer,
yeah,
and I tried playing the regular multiplayer, and it's like, oh, what is this? Why am I dead already? Oh, wait, oh, right,
yeah. It's
oh,
faster
okay,
time to
that's so
kill.
weird.
Yeah,
It's like way more fast paced.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, that was kind of jarring, to be honest.
Hey,
It's
I
cool that
mean,
they did that. It's very
and
clever.
imagine, did you play the hardcore or the normal one?
No, normal.
I mean, like imagine hardcore with a lot of weapons. It's just one hit kill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The plus side is I was able to level up my some of my loadouts, so
Oh, that's
that's
nice.
yeah. Ooh, this has been a bit longer than I thought it'd be.
Oh
So
well.
let's do one more article.
You want to do the
Mm,
Switch article or the Kotaku article, or
le- they'll-
we can touch them both.
I wanna touch on at least the Kotaku one because this one is actually pretty big.
Yeah, but the Switch one is
Um,
like really fast, right? So
the
update.
Switch one is really fast because it's basically so. What happened was this in the second week of April, um,
Update
Nintendo
10.0 or
released.
something?
Sorry,
Update 10.0, I believe it's called.
yeah, the firmware 10.0, and it has a lot of really cool new features added to it. You can bookmark news articles now in the news tab. You can, for example, if you're seeing a news article about like a download code or like a special code that can unlock stuff in a game, instead of you trying to look it up every time or making a screenshot of it or whatever, you can just bookmark it for easy access.
Nice.
You can also remap the button layouts
Yeah, I heard that.
like completely from the menu up is which is something that I know that certain PlayStation fans have been wanting for a long time, especially the PlayStation purists that want to use the circle for accept and X for cancel instead for X for accept
Why?
and
That's
zero
so
for cancel.
Japanese.
Exactly. That's
Why?
why. Because a lot of games back in the PlayStation 1 days
I
actually
know.
did use that
Metal Gear
way.
Solid.
So exactly. So people that are those kind of purists love the fact. Plus, it basically solves a part of accessibility that was missing on Switch.
Okay.
Like you wouldn't think of it, but we know a guy that has only one hand, and that means that I mean, he can still play games, and he plays games normally just fine. But um, like for him, it's way more easier now because he can remap the buttons to essentially be on one Joy-Con and have it work for him.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean,
For
like
example,
we
and
tend to
and
forget
a lot
about
of
that.
and exactly that's something that we forget because most people, don't have they have two hands or have certain things, which is why stuff like a while ago there was this guy that used the adaptive controller from Xbox to allow his daughter who's in a wheelchair to play Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I heard that. That was so cool.
He tooled it up, he remapped everything, and it's that like that was so really cool to see when she was so happy to play Breath of the Wild and just running to the fields and like defeating enemies. That was so cool to see. Like that you can bring technology together like that and have people experience the game that you're experiencing. And this also helps in that regard for people that have disabilities that want to play games normally. This does it on a system level. It's not on a game by game basis, system level, which is really cool. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about what data miners found when they rooted in the new firmware update, which just like when the Switch Lite was being introduced and the new chip, the new more efficient chip was being introduced, before those were introduced, the firmware that came before that, I think it was firmware 5, had some patch notes in it about, new switches that people weren't aware of yet. So one that was going to be the Switch Lite was introduced in there. It had this specific designation. And the same thing has happened with firmware 10, where there are notes in there for a switch designation that does not exist yet.
It has a dual screen. Nice. I heard.
There is some patch notes in there about a dual screen setup, but we don't know what that is about. We
Uh,
don't know if it means that they're working on a switch with two screens. We don't know if there's gonna be some weird dongle that you can attach to the dock that'll allow the TV to be a second screen. We don't know. All we know is that there's a potential new SKU coming because for the same thing, it could also just be that the patch notes are in there, but it doesn't mean anything. It could also mean that they're using a tape mode is when you hold the switch vertically. that they're using that as some weird dual screen solution.
Oh,
Doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be, two separate screens. It's just that you're using the vertical real estate to play a game. And
yeah.
it's not like it's unheard of because there are games that support that style. Thinking of stuff like Ikaruga, Pac-Man, stuff like that. The more arcadey games that are
Mhm.
out, they support the vertical layout. So I think maybe that it could also be that they're doing something weird with the dock. Maybe they're making a new dock that takes advantage of that. Who knows? I don't know. You don't know. But it is cool to speculate on these kind of things. Um, the one thing that we do know is that they're not changing the chipset, so it's still a Tegra One. So it's a Tegra One. So don't expect the graphics on this new version to be anything groundbreaking. It might be a little bit better, um, because if it's gonna power two different images at the same time, depending on how they're gonna image their depending on how they're gonna show it, they might have to do some reconfiguration on the chip and make it way more efficient so that it can run better. Who knows? I don't know. Other than that, there's not a lot to say about this firmware stuff. I mean, I guess it's just a matter of time. And if that is true, I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon again because of the current world situation. Um,
It's also maybe because the CEO of Nintendo said that don't expect any new hardware from Nintendo this year regarding Switch. But I think, I mean, like as a CEO, you kind of want people to be surprised, so that's why you could say that.
I mean, that's literally what they did last year as well. Like, don't expect new hardware. Well, actually, no. They said don't expect more powerful hardware, I think, last year.
Yeah, because a lot of people are hoping for a Switch Pro.
Yeah, like they've been hoping for a Switch Pro since the Switch came out. So
And hey, Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 would be the perfect game to show off a Switch Pro.
yeah, we still have no idea what's going on with the second half of the Switch lineup. Like, we know everything up until May.
They'll probably do
Basically,
a direct soon.
basically, basically, the last big release from Nintendo is the definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles, which is coming out May 25th. Um, And that's it. Basically, anything from that point on, because end of May, June is what, the E3 time period. So that would make sense. But now we just have this big gap of nothing happening. At least with Nintendo themselves, there's a lot of indie stuff that's coming out between now and then. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait until June to see what the second half of the Switch library is going to look like.
They'll probably do a direct soon, right?
No, because they already did a direct. I don't think they're gonna do a direct until the time of E3.
Yeah, that's
At least not until after. They might do like a mini direct for Xenoblade itself, but not like a general direct. I don't think we're gonna get anything more of new announcements of games until the E3 timeframe of like the second week of June.
okay.
Yeah.
And your last Kotaku article.
Yeah, so just a real quick footnote. I kind of wish we could dive into this more, but otherwise the news segment is just gonna be like an hour long again, which it almost is.
Oh, I don't know.
Um,
People might like it.
yeah, I hope so. Again, thank you guys for listening. If you're listening so far, thank you. We really appreciate it. I appreciate it. Sean Temper appreciates it. Um, so the last article that I want to cover today is Jason Schreier, um, editor, not editor, writer for Kotaku, is no longer a writer for Kotaku. He flew the coop. Apparently, he's one of many people that have left Kotaku over the past year. Remember when we first started, we were like the thing that we were talking about the most was Riot and
Mhm.
their whole hullabaloo. Yeah, the person that wrote those articles left last year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I forgot her name. Cecilia. Dang it, I'll have to look up the article again. But basically, about a year ago, about a year and a half maybe, um, Kotaku's parent company got bought by an equity firm. And well, whenever a company gets bought off by an equity firm, that's trouble, apparently, because all they want is profits, which is why, for whatever reason, sometime last year, Kotaku's website started having ads that roll automatically when you come on, ads with noise blaring out of your speakers. So when you suddenly go to Kotaku, it's just an ad that's in your face. And even the writers there were like, yeah, we're not happy with this new turnaround from our new bosses, and they got flack for that. So after that whole thing happened, people started leaving. Like Gita Jackson also left. She used to write a lot of articles about also also kind of in a similar vein of the video game industry, specifically tending to like a culture in the industry itself. Um, she left last year. Um, the person that wrote the right article also left, and Jason is now leaving as well. Basically, like there a lot of people left Kotaku, like a lot of good people, like a lot of good talent left Kotaku, and Jason Schreier is like the biggest one to leave. Um, and he basically was like, even in his like farewell post on Kotaku, he's basically saying like, yeah, things are not hot at Kotaku. They think like the sister websites also the sister website have been having all these weird things happen to them as well. Deadspin, like the new owners were like, okay, you're only allowed to talk about sports now at
Oh
Deadspin, and they were like, no. They were like, no.
my.
So they got so I think the editor in chief got fired from Deadspin, and when that happened, basically Deadspin bled dry, and it became nothing more than a zombie website for like a really long time, and they had to rehire people. So now people there are new articles showing up on Deadspin, but it's all stupid articles about sports in a time where there's basically no sports.
Well, what's funny
uh,
about that is that you see that a lot of people that are in sports are kind of looking at online options. So, for example, a lot of, at least I've seen the young drivers do it, not like the old drivers. Like a lot of the young drivers are for Formula One, for example, are participating in sim racing. So the other day, for example, this popular YouTuber that does a lot of racing, sim racing, did a charity stream, and he had Charles Leclerc, which is Ferrari's youngest driver. He had Lando Norris, who was pretty big in Formula One, but also like in online. He had the brother of Charles Leclerc. He had George Russell, Nicholas Latifi, Giovinazzi. Like all these young Formula One drivers were all just doing this charity race. It kind of did show that like since the cars are all equal in the online race and they don't have damage, they weren't really serious about it. So it was this part that just one car spun out of control, and it was like a chain reaction. All cars piled up, and they were just laughing and having fun. But it's cool to see that like those people are doing things for charity because they tried to raise 100,000, I believe, for charity. So that's cool to see that at least people do that at least for sports.
yeah, but but even like even with that stuff, it's great that they're doing that. Um, but there's like no actual sports to cover. So
Oh no,
what like with the thing with Deadspin, just that was the similar things are happening with Kotaku right now. It's just going at a slower
I'd
pace.
never visit
So
Kotaku. The website layout is just too intense for me. I cannot handle that.
well, you can thank their new bosses for that.
No, well, like,
But
it's been like this for a couple of years. Like I stopped what list of reading Kotaku like a couple of years because the layout was too. It didn't make sense for me.
yeah, like I said, it's been like this for like a year and a half now or something like that.
Yeah.
And basically, it was like, you know what, I'm done. Like I'm gonna finish my book. I'm gonna finish that stuff, and then I'm gonna take some time, and then I'm gonna be working somewhere else.
He does have a. I don't know if people read his book. I read excerpts of his first book, The Blood, Sweat, and Pixel. It's like a real cool book because it gives a lot of insight, a look into the kitchen as it is around how certain games were developed. So I believe Uncharted is in there, Uncharted 4, Destiny is in there. Like these really big AAA games that some of them succeeded, some of them didn't. You kind of get like a really in-depth look on what actually happened to make those games either a success or unfortunately a failure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the dude has like his connections in the industry,
Oh
man. It's
yeah.
like when like these big expose articles came out on Kotaku, it's like okay, yeah, like definitely. I mean, I don't visit like I still visit Kotaku on occasion, but it's like lately it's been way too much fluff and like oh man, like look no further than the article that was written over Final Fantasy 7, uh, the difficulty between I think it was easy and normal. That the disparaging between easy and normal was so big. It's like, well, freaking duh. Easy is supposed to be easy, normal is supposed to be normal, and hard's supposed to be hard. That's how games have always worked. Where what are you like? Oh man, that article was so bad.
Oh,
Just good grief. Anyway, yeah, it's gonna be sad because Kotaku is gonna be exactly nothing more than a shell of its former self if this keeps
I
going.
think, and I mentioned this offline, it's like that. I think a lot of businesses or companies are starting to see that more and more the games industry is outgrossing music and movies combined. Um, and so, like, everybody's just trying to get in, and they either do it by starting their own thing or by taking over existing businesses, websites, whatnot. And because those companies that do the taking over are so focused on money, are like we need to squeeze every drop of money out of this business the way as much as we can, not focusing on like, hey, if I keep this up on the long term, I'll actually get more out of it. But it's more like, no, no, we need to bombard this stuff with ads and this and that and the whole shebang, and that kind of kills off. Unfortunately, it at the one side
Hmm.
creates opportunities for new things to emerge, but at the same time, like old favorite things kind of die off because of that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically it. That's all the news that is fit to play, guys. So stick around and we'll be right back with what we've been playing.
Alrighty, welcome back to our second segment. What have we been playing? I'll let you do the honors, Max. What have you been playing?
Well, I've been doing my dailies on Animal Crossing, so checking in the morning and in the afternoon and in the evening, um, harvesting fruits, catching bugs, fishing for new fish during this period of time, um, and I actually got into a group with a bunch of friends. That I haven't seen in a while. They all picked up, they all picked up Animal
Oh,
Crossing,
that's nice.
and they're just enjoying the stuff out of it. They are like way hardcore into it. So they found this. They found like an app where you can keep track of everything, but also invite people to your island so that they can sell their turnips because they have what they call the stalk market, as
Okay.
in turnip stalks,
Oh, lol.
which is like a stock market where a certain you buy an amount of turnips, what you can afford, of course, and you try to buy them low and sell them high, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to keep track of it. Like this dude made this algorithm on IO, which we've been using, where we can input basically what our turnip prices are at the morning and in the evening, because in the morning the prices are one thing and in the evening they're another, and it'll predict um if you're gonna have like a good spike, like a high spike or a low spike,
Mm-hmm.
or if it's just gonna be in decline, or like what your potential maximum cost can be, so like the maximum amount of profit that you can possibly get. And my week has been terrible it it started low and it did finally go higher than what I bought it for. But yeah, that's been crazy. But there's an app that also allows you to visit other people that have like really high prices, like 10, 5, 10 times the amount that you bought them for, so that you can sell it at a high price. And you can get the code and like stand in line, and so that you can go to the island. You can host your island, so that if you have like a high selling price or low buying price, you're like, hey, come and buy stocks at my place
That's
because the
actually
stocks are
pretty
cheap.
cool.
It is like it's the stock market. The stock market is something that has been in there since the original Animal Crossing, but this is the first time and it's been like super accessible. Even
Nice.
with the DS, you'd still have to like get together and like go to forums and stuff. And but now it's like way more easier because you have apps to do that with.
I'm looking it up. I'm so excited. I'm so intrigued by this.
You have to look for Animal Crossing Stalk Market, STALK, not stock, not STOCK, but STALK.
Huh.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man.
There's
Like
like a lot of videos around it.
it is like it's really it's high rolling, high trading. Like my friends are like buying low and like looking for the place to sell them high. They'll buy like a million stocks
Whoa.
and then like sell it for like a super profit, and they've been able to like pay off their houses that way. And I'm just so bad at it, so it's taking me way more time to do that. The also other reason is because I've been playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. I finished it this week,
Holy crap.
and I'm not gonna do like a big overblown review on here. I'm just gonna give you my feelings on playing Final Fantasy VII Remake as someone who has barely experienced the first game when it came out 23 odd years ago. So yeah, it takes place in the beginning of the game, and shout outs to my buddy JProf, because we what I also ended up doing is playing the part that this remake is based off of in the original game again, um, to just see what the difference is, and the difference is like night and day. Because in the original game, the whole Midgar section, so the place that the remake takes place in, at best it's about 7, 8, maybe 10 hours tops. And I just finished Final Fantasy VII Remake the little around 60 hours.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff going in there. Um, so people thinking, oh, it's gonna be just a small game. It's not. Um, it's very pretty. Like it's a very pretty game, and I'm playing on a original PlayStation 4, not even like a Slim or PlayStation Pro,
I played it on
and
the Pro, yeah.
that game looks amazing.
Yep.
But the thing that not a lot of people are talking about, and I want to bring it up here because people kind of seem to just gloss over it, is how the music in this game is not only good, but it's integrated into the scenes. It's integrated into the battles in a way that it just flows. Does it always flow perfectly? No. Sometimes during battle it doesn't flow perfectly. The system that basically warps that progressively changes the music into its different form kind of feels like it has to bend over backwards to make the transitions work. But when it works, it is just like an emotional roller coaster all the way through from beginning to end. It's just really well composed. The songs are great. The way the progression of the music system works, it flows for the most part, and it left me with such good vibes. Um, but I'm gonna be a bit honest here right now. Is that when I finally beat the game, um, I was really happy, and then I was a bit sad because
Why?
because because of because of basically where we are at right now. Normally, um, when I finish it, when you're in the normal circumstances, you go out and you interact. I mean, now you're doing everything online, but I'm not a person who's well at the online interacting stuff. So I'm not a person who goes to Reddit or forums or whatever. Um, Reddit still kind of confused me as to how it works. It kind of
It's
reminds me of
overwhelming sometimes.
it is overwhelming, especially someone who's not that socially active on social media as I am. I mean, I'm way more active than maybe you because you don't even have like a Twitter or an Instagram. But even then, like my Instagram, I barely post anything on there. I'll like something that I like on Twitter or whatever. I barely post stuff on my Twitter account too, which I honestly should be doing more of, including on, of course, the Game Rivals Twitter, which is at game underscore rivals underscore. Please subscribe and follow. Um,
What the hell?
but
It almost feels
um,
like this episode is brought to you by, and then insert sponsor here.
I wish we could insert sponsors, man. Dang. we
Uh,
we might end up needing some extra cash flow after this stuff, man. These. Um, but I felt a little bit sad because I felt like properly I couldn't properly convey my feelings of finishing the game. And the impact of the ending, like people that have finished the ending, like apparently there's been like this big discussion on resetera.com where people like there's a thread on the ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake of about 150 pages, and people are just going back and forth of what the ending means. And from from my perspective as someone who um has only played the original game about twice, three times, and not even to completion, just little bits here and there. To me, this is basically a new game to me, like in its entirety. Um, and in terms of presentation, in terms of the combat is so good, yo. Like I'm not someone who's like, I'm a guy who's into RPGs. I'm not the guy who's into min maxing in RPGs because to me, JRPGs are more about the story, and the story here is good. But this is the first time that I've actively been respecking characters, respecking the weapons, reslotting materia on like a constant basis. So basically, the weapons, the way the it works differently from the original game. So in the original game, you had weapons, you had accessories, um, and then you had materials, which are the magic system, and the individual materials, so the individual spells and stuff like that. You can level them up, and you can interchange them between characters as long as your weapons and accessories had slots to put them in. Now you can also level up the weapons themselves, meaning that you can spec and respec your weapons to either be top heavy on melee attack or top heavy on magic attack and magic defense, stuff like that. You can also have you also get different weapons, and those different weapons have specific loadouts in mind. So, for example, you get a weapon for Cloud, which is made specifically on focusing on magic attacks. So that means the buffs in that weapons system that you can get are mainly targeted towards having better magic. You still have stuff like increasing your attacks on that, but that weapon is not made for that specific entity. So you can craft your characters in a way that you like with the weapons that are specific to like whatever situation you have, which is a really cool thing. Like just getting in there is like it's so cool. Um, and now that I finished the game, hard mode has been unlocked. Chapter selection has been unlocked, so I can play in whatever order I want, and I can play in hard mode if I want. But considering from what I've heard, it's like ridiculously challenging. So it may not be for the faint of heart once you beat the game. Um, but again, it's all up to you. But if you are a completionist, be advised that hard mode is truly a challenge, which is what hard mode is supposed to be. Um,
It's why it's called hard mode.
exactly. So, don't be a wimp and be like, oh, it's too hard. There's too much difference between easy and hard. That's how it's supposed to work, people. So yeah, that's basically my that's maybe I'll do a more in-depth thing about Final Fantasy once I've started playing hard mode. Um but that's basically how if uh, we don't do scores here. I don't really believe in like scores. I believe more in conveying how a game is like. I think that's a way better representation of what a like how a game is. But if I were to give it this game a score, it'd probably be an 8.5, more edging towards a 9. There are
Okay.
still a few things that kind of uh, like the game is big, but it's also big because everything is modeled out. And you have to, for the biggest part of the game, you have to walk everywhere. There's no fast travel system until like way late in the game, and
Hmm.
at that point it's kind of pointless. Especially if you've been playing the game like min maxing all your characters and stuff. When you get to that point, it's kind of pointless to have a fast travel system. um but there you go. The the graphics here and there can be kind of weird.
I
Like
saw that.
very
Yeah.
like
Ground
very early in the
textures and
game
stuff like
there are
that.
some, not just ground textures, but like also a door that just is not that seems like it's supposed to render a higher texture out, but it's not.
Okay.
It just looks super freaking weird. um but yeah, the parts that look good look really good, and the parts that don't look good are not significant stuff.
They'll probably do
um
a next gen Ultimate Edition, and then you know.
Maybe, but this is the first part of I don't know how many parts, but yeah, it is a good game. Like if you're a JRPG fan, if you've played Final Fantasy VII back in the day or not, if you've played the remastered version on newer consoles or not, it doesn't matter. If you're a JRPG fan, this is something that you definitely should not overlook.
Good to hear. Nice.
So, what have you been playing?
Well, I haven't played been so wow. I haven't been playing a lot.
Mhm.
I've played a lot of Warzone with friends of mine. Like every night, a couple of hours, maybe 2 hours, 2, 3 hours, maybe. Is hilarious. It's really fun. For some reason, we like really get close to the end of the game and then we die.
Uh,
um yeah, but it's like really fun, we're constantly trying out new areas to go to and constantly trying to figure out new weapons to use. I'm using a lot of thermal weapons so I can see people from their body temperatures in the distance already. um yeah, I mean, Warzone has been kind of this unexpected success. It has over 50 million players in the short while that's been out, which is really cool. They're also constantly adding new modes. So they, for example, added in the latest season 3 kicked off, I think, last week for
are their seasons like monthly?
um
Their seasons are really short.
I don't know if it's monthly because Modern Warfare came out in November, I think, and we're in season 3 right now.
Yeah, but I feel like season two wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, it could be. I think I actually don't know. Well, like it could be like maybe a month or something, maybe a little bit
Because
longer.
I think season two started when Warzone came out, right?
No,
Or was it already?
when season two came out, they teased Warzone, and I think like 2 or 3 weeks into season two, they finally released Warzone.
And we're now already into, because Warzone came out like what, a month ago, and we're already into
S-
season three.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago, I think 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe a month season. Yeah,
I think it's been a month now.
yeah. So
Like
it's
it came out before. It came out before the Netherlands started implementing like um,
quarantine.
quarantine.
Yes.
So that has been almost a month now.
Yeah.
Well, at the time of recording, it's been a month at the time of recording.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so they've season three kicked off last week, I think, and they've added for initially you only had three trios and singles, so they've added quads, so you can play up with four people now in
In
Warzone.
Warzone? Oh,
Yeah,
snap.
yeah,
Okay.
and they've also added a mode that you can only use snipers and shotguns. I never liked those.
Ugh.
They constantly revolve the amount of weapons you gather.
Hmm.
So like for example, the previous rotation of weapons was around. A lot around pistols and shotguns, and now it's a lot more around assault rifles, LMGs, and also a lot more rare weapons. So you get a lot more rare, like legendary weapons or high end weapons,
Yeah,
which
like
are
that
really
side of your
useful.
loadout, right?
Yeah, so like normally you can do like a loadout drop. Loadout drops have also become more expensive. So first they were around six, $7,000. Then it became $8,500. Now it's
Really?
$10,000. Yeah, but
Okay.
I mean, like because of the improved loot you get from the loot boxes and loadout drops, the game generates itself. So like the game also every once in a while does a loadout drop. You're not that reliant on the loadout drops that you have
Yeah,
to
but
buy.
yeah, but the thing that I realized recently, because they had this free weekend for the regular multiplayer, is that if you do just like a few matches of regular multiplayer, the weapons in your loadout level up like way faster than they will ever do in Warzone,
Yeah,
unless you play like a lot of Warzone and
or the blood
and
money,
hope and or blood money or and hope that
you get killed.
you get kills, and you get kills often with the weapons that you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I started playing Modern Warfare like from day one. I don't have the issue, but if you like step into it later, a friend of ours who only downloaded Warzone, he's been playing it for like a week, and then he bought the full version just a couple of days ago. So he
That's a
was
dedication.
walking into that issue about not having enough guns or not having the right guns. It's funny that guy's crazy because I've had instances in which we were in a small house, and then I would say, "Oh, somebody's coming up the stairs," and I would start firing, and before I know it, that person would be dead because he fired a bazooka at that person and kind of obliterated that person. I was like, "Holy shit! What the heck? What just happened?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I just used my bazooka, man." I'm like, "Oh wow, okay, cool." Yeah, so
Oh.
it has really funny moments in it. I mean, I'll probably be playing it tonight as well. I usually get a text message saying COD question mark, and then I know it's game time. Uh, yeah, and it's like it sometimes get to the point that we're just what I always see with FPS games is kind of like you're a diesel train, so you have to get into it. But sometimes you peak early, so like it's done, and no matter what you do, you I don't have any more left, and then kind of just all everything goes bad. And we had one of those moments the other day, and then we just started mimicking the characters and saying what the character says. So one of the characters has like this really monotone voice, and then when you ping something, it says, "Found an LMG, found an SMG. I got an armor plate here." So we're constantly like saying that over voice chat to each other. Found an LMG, found an LMG. Oh look, an SMG. And we're constantly doing that. And a friend of mine's girlfriend was like saying like that we were crazy and acting strange and weird. And we're like, yeah, okay, we just have to make do with what we have. We're stuck inside. But yeah, I would recommend Warzone. It's really fun. I mean, it can get really chaotic. We coach each other when we're in the gulag. So if multiple people go into the gulag in our squad, we're like, okay, okay, I need you to coach me. And then like one is looking from the side, okay, he's on your left, he's on your left, oh, he's on your right. And sometimes you're lucky and you get the guy, sometimes you don't. We had an instance in which one of us was in the gulag and three of us were coaching him and he still managed to get killed. I was like, okay, you're the worst Call of Duty player ever. I mean, there's eight eyes in this looking at where that guy is, and you still managed to die. But yeah, it's just fun, plain old fun.
Yeah.
I would recommend it. And the other game I've been playing, I wanted to play Total War Three Kingdoms, start a new campaign, but
Hmm.
for some reason, uh, update 151 came out, which was a hotfix. They reverted the hotfix, and because I had save games made on 151, the game said that my save was corrupt or was unstable,
No.
so I can't use my new saves. Yeah, and it was pretty far along in the campaign. So I thought
Uh,
like, okay, let me just start a new campaign. And then like 10 minutes into that new campaign, I'm like, I don't want to start a new campaign. I want to finish the campaign I already had. So I kind of left it at
Yeah.
that. But I've been playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I bought the game like a couple of months ago for 30 euros, but I haven't touched it because I wanted it to get a lot of patches so it would get better because it didn't get the best reception.
Mm.
Um, what they did is they added something recently called the Ghost experience, so you can customize your play experience. So you can, for example, the game from the start has gear score in it.
Mm.
So you have like levels of rarity for your weapons and armor and stuff like that. If you want, you can turn that off, so it becomes like a regular realism shooter. So you can only pick up weapons you find out in the field, for example, or you can make it the enemy smarter or harder, or you can make like your health, you can adjust that, say, okay, I want the option to heal less, or I want more options to heal, so you can kind of customize your own play experience, which is really nice. It I don't know, but I played Wildlands and I really liked it. But this feels a lot more stiffer compared to Wildlands. So there's, for example, no AI team buddies in there because that was one of the things that was really nice in Wildlands. It's not in there. They kind of expected people to co-op the hell out of it, but not a lot of people either did that or are happy with that. So they're working on adding AI teammates as an downloadable option as in an update, but it's still not there. So you're constantly alone out there, and it feels sluggish. I don't know why, but like Wildlands felt so smooth, and because this is so sluggish, and like a simple example is driving in a car. It felt really nice in Wildlands, and here it just feels so stiff. Like if you want to swing your car over the road, it doesn't do that. Like it kind of turned me off. I'm like, I played like 2 hours, and then I
Mm.
stopped playing it because I'm like, I'm not in the right mood right now to deal with this. So I kind of hope they'll bring out some more updates. Um, a friend of ours, Gizmo, was on the show who sent us a message a couple, like last week or something. Said he was playing Horizon Zero Dawn. So I
Yeah.
thought, hey, maybe I'll download Horizon Zero Dawn and try New Game Plus. So I haven't started yet, but I've downloaded it. But
Yeah.
I'm
Our guest from the previous episode, Negative, he also bought
Oh, he
Horizon
did.
Zero. Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Nice.
he
Has
did.
he
So
shared initial thoughts around the game?
not yet, but that's also because we've been training in Brawlhalla.
Ah, okay.
He set up a tournament where we can win fabulous prizes.
Oh, that's nice. What's
So
the biggest prize you can win?
the biggest prize you can win depends on two things. So either you get the full roster if you're just playing, because it's a free to play game and you can buy like the full roster, but you can also just play whatever the weekly rotation of characters is. But if you already have all the characters, you get 20 euros of credit for in the game
Oh, that's nice.
that you can buy crossover characters. And let me tell you, crossover characters are not cheap in Brawlhalla, so I'm looking forward to that. Um, the cool thing is that even if you don't have the crossover characters, you can try them out in the training mode.
Yeah,
And basically what I learned is that all these crossover characters are just essentially skins of character types that already exist.
yeah,
And one of the characters that I want to get, Stavani, is from Steven Universe, is one of my main characters that I'm playing as. It's called Val. She basically, you have two different weapon types that each character uses, and they're all different combinations. And my character uses knuckles, so gloves,
hmm,
and a sword, which is like super sweet. Um, and the character Stavani uses that same layout.
oh, that's
So if I
nice.
can get that character, it's basically I don't have to learn anything new because the layout is the same and the character stats are the same. It's just that it has this sweet Steven Universe skin over it.
That's
And
pretty smooth.
I tried it out a bit and like it's so cool. I want that so bad.
Nice.
So now I'm like with my tag team partner. We're like practicing almost every evening, like at least an hour or two. And since it's been a long time since I played Brawlhalla, it took me a long time to get a character. So now I'm just trying to perfect that and like get better at spacing and attacking and stuff like that. So I've been playing that. I've been playing that on my MacBook Pro via GeForce Now.
And does it work?
It works, but I also realized something that's really annoying. So I may have to start. playing through Ethernet, especially when the tournament day comes around, is that every once in a while, as I said before in the previous segment, there is the connection gets spotty, and I've had it happen a few times yesterday where it just froze on me
Uh
for
oh.
like 5 seconds, and then when it returned, I lost.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Luckily, this was just during my solo training, so it's not the end of the world. But I can imagine that happening during the actual tournament and my tournament partner being very upset with me. So I'm gonna try working with Ethernet and see if the spotty connection is still a thing. If that's the case, then I may have to switch to playing on my PCs for stability's sake, or see if I can actually install this thing on my MacBook and if it works as smoothly, because it's a 2D game, so it shouldn't
Hmm.
be. If
Should be
there's a
fine.
if there's a um if I can also install it on Mac, then that should be fine. I don't know if I can install it on Mac. I haven't checked yet.
Okay.
So
Nice. Good to
yeah,
know.
so that's yeah. I forgot that one. I wanted to bring that one up specifically, and I know that if I didn't, Negative would be listening to this episode and would be, why didn't you talk about Valhalla
Oh, okay.
and Xenogears?
Oh, Xenogears.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
so
great.
I'm thinking about doing a new game plus for Horizon, but I'm not. I don't know yet. Just have
Do
to
it,
see.
do it,
Yeah,
do
I'm
it.
thinking. Like, I really love the game. I mean, it's still one of the prettiest games I've played on my PlayStation.
I want
So
to
like,
see. I want to see if New Game Plus, um, like how big a difference it is, and considering that it's been a while for you since you played the game, how rediscovering the game on New Game Plus is for you.
yeah, I'm actually thinking about maybe doing like a video around it, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah,
Cool, that's it. Stick around. We'll be back with what hidden gems.
we'll be right back. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with our hidden gems.
Oh my god.
Sean Templar, what is your hidden gem?
My hidden gem is a game a lot of people probably know, but maybe never actually played a lot, or maybe have kind of lost sight of, because that's
Hmm.
what I'm one of them. My hidden gem is the remake, or I'll call it the reboot of Tomb Raider.
Ah,
A couple of
okay.
years ago, Crystal Dynamics, which is I think the original company that made Tomb Raider on the PS1.
Yeah, no, that was IDOS. Um, Core.
Ah, um, Crystal Dynamics in this case, then.
Crystal Dynamics took over when they did the first reboot back in the PlayStation 3 days.
Ah, yeah. So the funny thing is I was never actually a Tomb Raider fan of from starting from the PS1 till actually this reboot, because I don't know, I never got really into the puzzling and all that stuff. I just didn't have the patience for it. And then a couple of years ago, Uncharted came out, and I just loved Uncharted because it was like a roller coaster ride. And then Tomb Raider came out in 2013, and I played it on the PC at the time. Um, and it kind of caught me by surprise. I didn't know what I was getting into, so I thought, like, you know what, let me just try this. And we heard a lot of people talk about it, were really enthusiastic. Um, and it's maybe a bad comparison to make, but was it basically felt like a different version of Uncharted for me, which I really liked. Um, the game is set on an island, Yamatai it's called. So what happens is you're a young Lara Croft. You're not actually like the Tomb Raider full blown character yet. You're kind of like, it's kind of like an origin story, to put it that way. And something's happened with your father, and it's leading you to this island of Yamatai, which is this ancient Japanese island, which has a sort of queen, a sun queen that a lot of people have worshipped and that they have sacrificed their life for. And it's kind of a bit freaky and strange and intriguing at the same time. And then you get shipwrecked on the island with your exploration group. So you're not all alone. You have all other characters in the game as well that you at least see and talk to. Um, and then you kind of try to first, survive and kind of find weapons and solve smaller puzzles until you find out that there's a population living on the island, and there is another faction on the island as well trying to find the Sun Queen because she possesses some ancient relic they want to harness. And your typical evil organization want to control the world plot. um
Of course.
yeah, I don't know if it's fair to compare it to an kind of open world game, but it's not like a linear game. You can go wherever you want on the island. Yeah, it's a pretty linear story from like what you have to do. But there are like main missions and side missions, and you can go wherever you want and complete them in whichever order, because you can, for example, run into an area and you don't have the proper tools, and you can, if you get the tools later on, go back and retry that area again. There are a lot of tools in the game, so you start out with a bow, and there's also some guns in it. But I preferred, like, there's a stealth mechanic in the game, and I really tried to play it as much as stealthy and with the bow as I could. That just really, I like that playstyle for that game. Normally, I'm kind of the Rambo guy, but in this case, I liked it. There's also pretty extensive upgrade system in the game. You can upgrade your skills, and you can upgrade your weapons and your bow. So it's pretty, for a reboot. It's pretty nice and extensive. And I remember at the time, they used a new technique on her hair. It was called Trez FX, I believe. It was a new technology from AMD. So her hair, for example, was amazing. Like, you would just run around and you would see all that hair of hers go all sides, and it like looked like individual hair pieces instead of like a static hair model. So that's really cool. It was a bit like shiny, and then it became eventually normal in games. Like when you entered the water, for example, you could see that your clothes were wet or that your hair was wet. But it was like one of those first games that actually impressed, like with a hair model. I remember that was one of those things that really stood out to me.
Yeah,
Um,
true.
yeah, it's really funny to talk about hair in a game. Um, they did end up doing sequels, so they made two sequels after that: Rise of the Tomb Raider, which came out in 2015, and they also did Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which came out in 2018. I played Rise of the Tomb Raider and also finished that one. It was also cool. It was a bit more action oriented. It did have a similar structure, that it was on an island. In this case, it was with an old Soviet faction having been on the island. So you could kind of see like Soviet remnants on it, which was really cool. And then Shadow of the Tomb Raider is more set in South America, I believe. I haven't finished that one yet. I bought it a while back. I played a couple of hours. Still intend to finish it. I just gave it to a friend, lend it to him so he could play something in this quarantine. So I think when I'll get it back from him, I'll start playing this. Eventually, the franchise also moved over to the current gen consoles, because it started out on the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC, and then it got a remastered version for the current gen consoles, and from there on, they did all the games on this generation. Games also available on Stadia. What's funny to see is, what cool is that, for example, when Rise of the Tomb Raider was available, it was around the time that those mid-cycle refresh consoles came out, so the PS4 Pro and the One X. And then, for example, in Rise of the Tomb Raider, they had a lot of options for harnessing the extra power of the PlayStation 4 Pro. So you could say, okay, I want 4K and then 30 FPS, or I want um, a higher FPS, or I want checkerboard 4K, and what. There were like a lot of options you could choose from to kind of determine your visual experience. And they also ended up supporting PlayStation VR with a separate VR experience in which you could explore Croft Manor, which is like the big ass mansion Laura Croft lives in.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, the game's also been a couple of times on PS Plus. You could get it for free. I think I have the remastered version. I got it through PS Plus, I think. um, is like a really cheap game you can buy probably now. If you can get it, if you want to try something really new and sink some hours into it, just get it. You won't regret it. It's a really cool and fun game.
Yeah, totally agree. I played a little bit on my PC back in the day. Was really fun, except that my PC wasn't that strong, so it didn't look the best and it didn't run as smooth. Um, but it ran fine enough when I lowered enough of the stats and stuff like that. So it is a really cool game, and it is something that I really want to try and finish again. But I kind of wish that Square Enix supported GeForce Now so that I can do it through that.
That would be nice.
That would be nice. Would also be nice to play other stuff on GeForce Now that way, but eh,
Can't have it all.
we can't have it all. What we can have is the next hidden gem, which is the one I'm repping this week, and that is FTL faster than light. I've talked about this during our year in decade review. Like I touched upon it briefly, and FTL is basically what you would get if you took the if you took Star Trek and you made it into more of a battle sim, and it focused more on that aspect, the whole ship, this whole ship command stuff, managing your ship, managing your crew, all the while trying to outrun this um, infestation, like alien infestation thing that's trying to gobble up the whole universe. So you're basically you're hopping from star system to star system. You'll run across pirates who will immediately start attacking you. You'll run across drones that are patrolling the area that are hostile towards anything that's from outside the solar system. You can even like battles don't necessarily have to end up in one destroying the other. Sometimes what will happen is you'll be in combat with a pirate vessel, and you'll damage them so much that they can't move or can't shoot anymore, and they'll be like, "Please don't destroy us. We'll give you some resources if you don't." And you can either choose to take the resources and leave them alone, which if you choose that option, you can't shoot them anymore. You just have
Ah,
to go
that's too bad.
to the next point in the map. Or you can just say, you know what? No, you put me through a bunch. I almost lost this valuable crew member. You disabled my engine, and now I have to spend the whole time fixing it. No, you're going down. Your health is low, and I'm gonna blow you into smithereens, and I'm gonna gather what's left, and I'm gonna use that to fix my ship and go to the next star system.
I would always have to blow the smithereens part. I mean,
I That's kind of what I figured you'd say.
come
but it
on.
but the thing is it's randomly generated, so every time that you play it's different. Every time you start off, it's the only thing that's constant is the starting point of your ship. So basically you do revert back to um, the start, so you have to build stuff out again, but you do have like a base that you can expand that's permanent. And basically the whole point is to replay, whenever you get defeated, replay again, take different paths that gets regenerated as well. And the point is to get to the end so that you can defeat the alien invasion that's trying to encroach upon the whole galaxy.
Hmm, sounds interesting.
So it's really cool, it's really fun. I mean, it's if you don't need like a super powerful PC to play it on. I've tried it on GeForce Now; it works swimmingly. Um, but like my experience with Brawlhalla, do take into account that if you have a Wi-Fi connection that has a spotty connection now and then, you might want to use an Ethernet connection to play through GeForce Now. But if you can, but again, like I said, it's not that ridiculously powerful of a resource hog of a game. You can just download it on any PC, and I think you can also download it on Mac and just play it. It's fun. Like if you need something that's a bit more challenging, and at least with every playthrough is different, um, go for faster than light. Like FTL will be your jam if you're trying to min max stuff and just be like the captain of your ship and spec it out with like the best crew and the best upgrades, so that you can eventually buy like a better ship and like do a better time at it. So, yeah, I mean it's so cool. Like you can eventually upgrade your ship to have drones, so you can have crew members, but you can also have drones who do stuff like take care of the engine, who take care of the weapon system, who take care of the oxygen system. Because you have oxygen system, if you have like a hull blowout, um, vacuum comes into the the spaceship, and if all the blast doors are broken, your crew suffocates and dies, and the ship blows up, of course. But that's the cool thing about having drones. They don't require breathing, so they can go into areas that are vacuum, and they can fix the blast doors there, so that you can close them, um, or fix or if there's a fire, they'll last longer in a fire and like close it out. But you can also open the blast doors all the way to like the compartment that has the fire, so that the vacuum just literally sucks out all the oxygen and the fire goes out that way. It's very brilliant.
I've seen it online a couple of times. I always wondered, like, should I play this or not? But since
I
I'm
would
hearing
like
this,
considering that you play like Total War. I think this would be up your alley.
okay. I
I,
like the art style.
at the very least, I don't think it's that expensive. If I check it right now, how much is FTL? It's $10.
Oh,
It's $10. Pick it up if you own a computer. If you own a PC, you can pick it up. You can play it on Mac OS. You can play it on Steam OS. It barely needs anything to run it. So if you want something to distract you during this time, and you want something small, cheap, and easy to get it on Steam. Play it. You'll have a blast of a time.
nice.
Yeah, so with that, we are done for this week's episode. Once again, thank you so much for listening to this episode. You can, as always, find us on any podcasting outlet that is out there. You can find us on our home Anchor. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Google Podcasts, Stitcher,
Spotify,
Spotify, Out Outcast, Pocket
Overcast.
Cast, Overcast, or wherever you download your podcast from. You can always send us feedback to our email, which is at Gmail, which is game rivals feedback at gmail.com. You can also give us feedback once again on Twitter, which is at game underscore rivals underscore. You can talk to me on Twitter, which is at Maximilian. You can also leave us a voice message. The link will be in the description of the podcast. You don't need to make an Anchor account for this. You can just click on the link and record a message. It could be a question. We hope that you have questions for us about the industry or about what we think of a certain game. Maybe we have mentioned it before. Maybe it's a game that we haven't mentioned before, but we have played. Um, just hit us up either through the email, as I said before, or through a voice message, or leave a message, of encouragement, because we love those as well. Um, you can also find us on Instagram, where I try and make sure that people are aware of the new episode that goes up there. I'll also be posting some questions on Instagram. So if you're following us on Instagram, which is at Game Rivals, be on the lookout for one of our stories one of these days, which will ask which will open up and ask us anything. So you can do that for like 24 hours, and we can react to that as well. So I think I covered everything. Anything you want to add, Sean Templar?
You basically touched on everything I wanted to mention. So thank you for that.
Cool. So, again, thank you guys so much for listening, even during these times. Um, we hope you all stay safe, do whatever it needs to do so that we can beat this thing, so that we can go to some level of normalcy, and so that Sean Templar doesn't have to cry when they eventually delayed the PlayStation 5 launch.
My God,
Um,
don't do that right now.
once again, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to shout us out to your friends. Let them know that we are out here. And from me, Sean Templar. Oh my goodness. From me, Maximilian X.
Blah, and I'm Sean Templar.
Wow, we flubbed that one, didn't we?
I got somebody sent me a message. I'm like, oh crap, my phone's not on silent. And then I start to read the message. I'm like, oh no, I'm still recording this. Ah,
Well, from the both of us, from our quarantine spaces, we wish you happy times. Thanks for listening,
stay
and
safe, stay
stay
healthy,
safe.
wash your hands.
again, and see you guys next time.